Now, I apologize in advance. I am working from home. Here's me here, a older, more stressed looking person than the photo on the webinar slides. But I do have also my dog in tow, and for some reason, I've got some construction guys with a demo saw outside my house. So I apologize for the work from home environment. But that's the new world, I guess. So I'll turn my video off and we will crack on. So welcome everyone. My name's Doug Vincent. I'm one of the founders of Mastt, and this is the second webinar in a series that we're doing on project management in action. Our last webinar was on risks and how we kill spreadsheet risk registers, whereas today is on how we do fast and simple Capex management without spreadsheets. So welcome to all of you. And for today's webinar, we will be sharing the recording and we'll be sharing the slides. So don't worry about taking notes or screenshotting things. We'll give all this to you afterwards. And then I will take questions at the end, but please throw them into the chat at any time. And I'll do my best to answer them either on the fly or at the end. And to get right into it, the story of Mastt is very much intertwined with my own story. So when I left university, when I graduated university, didn't drop out, I went straight into the construction industry, into the client side project management world. And, really to my disbelief, I just found everyone was using spreadsheets to manage all of the finances on their project. So I was just head first into that world, building all these crazy spreadsheet models to track all of the costs and prepare all of my reports. And then I realized that this was actually the cause of many of the errors that I had. Like, it was very difficult to keep track of all of this stuff. And so these days, it's just no wonder to me that I'm always seeing in the news cost blowouts, time blowouts, just generally bloated projects with complexity. And a lot of it is down to the systems we use, which are at the moment seems to be spreadsheets. So this was eye-opening for me. And it wasn't just on the one sector I was working in, it was across all the sectors. So I was fortunate to be working for a large project management consulting company, and I got to manage projects for the government, for schools, for the health sector, and everyone was really doing it the same way. So I was starting to think to myself, is this really why I went to university, to be bashing around in all of these spreadsheets and pulling my hair out with it? But nevertheless, I persevered. But what I had found and started to notice was that every organization really ran the same way. You've got their cost trackers, and if you're lucky, when you drill into it, you get some super awesome, formulas. And if you're really lucky, you get some Visual Basic macros that someone's written. And that's just one project, and there's obviously many other people doing this. And then as I started to get up the chain, out of the project world, I was then running a program. So I was then the one receiving all of these spreadsheets, and the job was copy paste into a behold master cost tracker, which has just got all of the spreadsheets smashed into it. And so surely there is a better way to do it, but that was the way that it was done, and a lot of organizations still do that because that was the best method available. And so at the project level, I was dealing with all this really painful manual data entry, thinking there's got to be a better way to do this. And then when I had got to that program level, I'm now trying to aggregate all of this data manually. I'm wondering, is this even correct? Because when I double click on a cell, I just got a huge formula. I don't have time to follow that formula to make sure that it's all correct. And so I just didn't have any of that granularity in the information I was doing. So what I would do is I would just roll that up and then report it up to the portfolio manager. And by this stage, who knows how many errors are in there? It's definitely out of date. And so for doing that for quite a while, the struggle was truly real. And that's what my job became. I was sandwiched between administration and then sandwiched between, reporting above. But there was a bigger issue at play here that I didn't realize. So sure, the administration sucked. Sure, the reporting sucked. But what was actually happening was there was this big fork in the data. So at the project level, we're compiling all this information and we give it up to our boss or the program manager in this case, And then that takes, took me anyway, like a couple of weeks to aggregate all of this information. Meanwhile, the project is carrying on. Like the project is continuing, things are happening on site, variations are coming in, claims are coming in, finance is being updated, risks are being realized or not realized. And so that would carry on a couple more weeks. And then by the time I finished my report and I handed up to the portfolio manager, in some cases, some of these organizations, it could be 30 to 60 days. So by the time that portfolio manager got his information, it's weeks and weeks and weeks old. So what we need to do is cut through all of this outdated data, use a knife, not a fork, and we need to get that data from the projects straight to the key decision maker in real time so that they can make the decisions, pull the levers that they need to do on their projects. And so after doing that for 8 years, got totally jack of it, and we created Mastt, which is, a really neat automated solution to this complex office environment. I'm going to show you a demonstration of the system in a minute. And what we do is we kill all the spreadsheets. We're tracking all the budgets, all the commitments, and the cash flow with deep granularity so that you can report across projects, programs, portfolios, and generate the reports that you need at the click of a button. So Capex is one part of what we do, but our overall mission is to digitize the construction industry globally. Why do we want to do that? Well, construction's in the Stone Age. We're currently below fishing on the digitization index. And globally, we're going through, a huge wave of urban growth. So we're building the equivalent of a New York City every month for the next 40 years. So we feel we can add value through great software, enabling project teams to get work done. And the way we build that software for owners is we rethink, project, program, portfolio actions from the bottom up. And so we're fanatical about engineering, software engineering, design, beautiful design, sexy software, good looking tools that people like to use, and customer engagement. So we speak to our customers daily. We're almost like an extended team in a way. So we certainly don't just hand the software and then leave you to it. So let's see it in action. So I'm going to crack over to the system. And this is all cloud, by the way. So you just go to the website, click login. In this case, I've got a demo server that I've got up here. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to navigate through some of these projects, and I'm going to highlight to you some of the Capex that we do at a project level, and then how we roll that up into a program and to a portfolio. So I've just got 6 projects here in this demo account. And what we'll do is we'll go into this project A, which I've very creatively named. And where we're going to land is on the dashboards. And we are doing a webinar in a couple of weeks on the reporting. But just to give you a quick overview, these dashboard reports aim to replace the PowerPoint slides or the Word documents that people are traditionally using to compile project on a page, plan on a page reporting. And all this information is data driven from the risk, cost, and time modules that we have. So you can track all the finances, track the life cycle, visualize data in a really cool and creative way. So this is the contracts, for example. So the size of the bubble is commensurate to the value of that contract. And then as people add variations in the cost module, you can see these concentric rings being added. So it's just a really neat way of visualizing data that is, not how we're traditionally doing it with just a boring table. And that same deep composition of risks in yellow, uncommitted in dark blue, and contracts in light blue, we have in the cash flow. So you can see your historical paid and your forward cash flow with deep composition of what's committed, what's uncommitted, what's risk, and then track how you're going into the end of a financial year or for the whole project over many years in this case. So just to round out some of the dashboard before I do go into the Capex, we've got risks, we have a full risk module, procurements, action items, etc. And all of this is downloadable to a report. So you can just produce PDF, run off to a meeting, or if you have iPads, iPhones, you can just log in, see the dashboard straight on your device anytime. So let's go into the cost module, the original spreadsheet killer. And this was where I lived in the pain. So I was, working in these spreadsheets, essentially trying to build a Mastt system in my spreadsheets. And so what this is a replacement for all of those digital ledgers that, an assistant project manager, a project manager has to set up at the beginning of their project to track all of the budgets, all of the contracts, all of the variations, forecast and uncommitted costs, all the cash flow and all of the progress claims. And so we've distilled it all down to 6 tools. But the really neat thing with this system is I always, hated double clicking on a cell in a spreadsheet and you get those formulas. Like, it's very difficult to add value when you can't see and reveal the information behind. So what we did was we introduced these really neat unraveling rows so that anyone can come in here, click on a row, drill down and unravel to see the makeup of that information, all the way down to the variation. So now in the system, rather than have, this dark art of building spreadsheets off to the side, we have everyone working in a single common data environment, collaboratively, transparently. It's all standardized, and program managers, project directors, heads of capital works can come in here, drill down into the rows and really understand the makeup of the Capex and see what people have done. So it allows people to add value into the spend, into the budgeting in a way that they've never had before, but it also gives us a way to quickly work. So right in the tree structure, I can go next to any of these contracts and I can add a variation, 3 dots, add variation. It's all smart form data entry. So you can add in your variations, status controlled workflows, and then a single click update in these smart forms is a global update in the system. So the finances in the cost module update, the dashboard updates, the cash flow updates, and all of those usual business rules that you would expect, like you can only claim against approved variations. All of those are built into the system just to prevent, people, messing things up accidentally. So we've got one-click reporting, so you can produce those types of annexures for your, project monthly reports. Slide that straight into the back of your report. Done, easy. And then if we make our way through some of the registers, so we've got, full variation register, every variation on this project. And if we click into one of these, we can deep dive and we can see a detailed view of this information, comments and attachments and things like that. And a list of, who did what, when they did it, what did they change. So we're actually able to go back in time and track the activity of people in the system. We've also got, full contracts registers, full forecast registers, and then, that journey of raising contracts and then, raising all these variations. Eventually it culminates in a progress claim. And so we're handling the, receipt, submission and approval of progress claims in the system. So to show you some of those business rules we've got built in, you open the smart form, select the contract, it all pre-populates with the approved contract values. It pre-populates with all the previously claimed values so the users don't have to reconcile this information manually. And then we just take it through a status controlled workflow and generate the types of certificates that we need to support contractual compliance, such as issuing a payment certificate, issuing a payment statement, things like that. So all of those are automatically generated out of the system. And these are some of the project level tasks that I really suffered with when I was working in the industry. So we empathize with those project users a lot because that's how we add value at the bottom to enable that roll up of data, which I'll show you in a second. And then eventually, things get paid and that all drops into the cash flow automatically with that same deep drill down analysis. So you can actually drill down into any of these rows, see exactly what was paid when. And then all that the user has to do is then just balance their cash flow going forward. And we tell them how much cash is, not assigned from this unassigned column. And so the table below gives us those working sheets, working formats for the user to do their job, but the visualization above for key decision makers who need to see from a governance perspective, there should be no, for example, risks cash flowed in the next 60 days, or, why have we got uncommitted amounts proposing to be paid in the next 60 days, so you can make effective capital allocation decisions just by looking at that visual and then tracking how you're going against baselines and targets that might have been set at the beginning of that financial year. So let's make our way now out of a project. So that's, one project up and running off the spreadsheets. And let's see how we take that one project and we roll it up into, really programs, regions, portfolios, and more. So this program A, another very creative name that I've given it, has got 5 projects in it. So let's drill into this one and take a look. Again, we're going to land here on the dashboards, which are, not subjective. So this is, the only data you can change on here is the description, summary, images. Everything else is real-time roll-up from the projects below. So, all the project health, composition by percentages, values, counts of the portfolio stages, all the finances rolling up, all the schedule, all the Capex rolling up. And then down the bottom here, these are the projects in this program, and we can visualize them on a map. So I see a lot of people brief, program summary, here's the key program information, and then they can drill into a project if they want to go, by exception that way. And then financially, in that program role, this was kind of the last role that I did before leaving to start this business. It's still an operational role. You still have to have a tight hold on the finances of each project. And so the financial module here looks the same as the project module, but it aggregates all of this data together and it does it all in real time. And it does it all with the same level of drill down that we had in the project. So as a program manager, you have quick, easy access to all of your project's finances in the exact ledgers that they're using at any time, so that you can see with deep granularity what is making up that top line program spend. And all of these projects you can squirrel into quickly, easily. And then like the rest of the project module, we have all of these ledgers. So every variation on every project in this program rolling up in real time so that you can generate reports easily on the entire program. Every progress claim in one spot across all of the projects, grouped by month. Show me every progress claim that got submitted this month on all of my projects. So we bundle all of this data up and group it in a way that gives it context and reason for a program manager, and then bring it all together in a cash flow. So just like we saw earlier, all of these projects are updating their cash flow in Mastt within their permissioned projects, and it's rolling up here in real time for us to see anytime, how your program or portfolio is tracking. That's all multi-year, so you can, go to any year, see the spend. That's a bit more of a, up and down profile, and then there's that, S curve that we like to see in the capital project spend. So that's a program. And now the journey for us was get projects off the spreadsheets, roll up the data for programs. And then since we started this business in 2019, so that was the beginning, projects, programs. And then in the last year, we've had a real hyper focus on serving portfolio managers. So portfolios rolling up projects, programs, and other portfolios in real time so that they can make the quick, easy decisions that a portfolio manager needs to. And this is a less operational role. And so the dashboards are presenting a little bit different with the financial information, but we still have, the composition, financial composition of all the stages, all of the health, all of the project finances and the overall portfolio finance. But we introduce more of these portfolio level features like, who's sponsoring most of my projects and how much, and what's the percentage of the portfolio? Who am I paying the most to in my portfolio? Who's my, number one designer? Who's my number one builder? And this is all information rolling up in real time from those project ledgers. And then if I see some more of the visuals down here, so every contract on the portfolio. So it's just really easy to see what that number one biggest contract is that you are in, and how much you're paying them. Because really that's where we need to be focusing our attention. And then in the cash flow, similar view, roll up of all the project data, cumulative view, and seeing the composition of the portfolio by project so that you can identify who the big spenders are in your portfolio, and then focus your attention on helping those projects achieve their spend. And then a few other things here on the portfolio, the risks, real-time aggregation of risk registers. So that's awesome. And we can share some of the information from that webinar if anyone's interested. And then like the other dashboards down the bottom here, these are all the projects in the portfolio. And then some of the questions that our portfolio managers need to answer can be really, at that government level. And so some of the questions around, where is my portfolio spending in terms of different regions, in this case, electorates. So it zooms out there because Lord Howe Island is actually part of the Sydney electorate, but I'll zoom in here. So this is some of the kind of decision making that our portfolio managers have. They can just search the electorate, region, state, whatever, and get quick, easy access to that Capex information, so they can give the minister, give who they're reporting to, their directors, that snapshot of information quickly, easily, without having to manually aggregate this information in a spreadsheet. So that's a little whirl of the system. So I'll just go back to the slides just to wrap it up for the last 5 minutes, and then we'll take some questions. So some of what we're seeing, and just to recap the value proposition with a fast, easy to use Capex system like this, is that at that project level, we're no longer struggling in the spreadsheets. We've got a young generation of staff here who are used to ordering food on their phone, swiping left and right to order girls and boys and things like that. And so they're now working in a great software, boosting their morale, easy reporting. They're looking good to their managers, and most importantly, giving them time to focus back onto their projects rather than administration. At that program level, which was kind of my last role, I'm no longer having to manually aggregate data because I've got it at my fingertips in front of me, and it's all automatic, and I can drill down into it and add value rather than spending time doing administration. And so that gives me an ability to make those fast decisions that you need to as a program manager before you prepare your report for the portfolio manager, whose world is now transformed with real-time insights, and he doesn't have to wait 30 days to the end of the month to receive a report that is actually 30 days old. So we don't want these guys making decisions on old data. That's just not a good way to run a portfolio. So that's a little recap. And there is more to look forward to here. So we've seen, I like to think of is that data gathering piece. Someone shared this cool, Lego analogy with me recently. So imagine all the spreadsheets, that's it's a mess. All the data's a mess. Whereas with Mastt, fast, easy Capex management, we've now got all this data arranged neatly into a system. And then with that system, we can fetch and present information with deep contextual visualizations in various reports so that you can make those easy decisions quickly. And then the last part of this is another webinar we're doing in the series around how we use that data to offer those insights back to you on allowing you to make a decision on the next project from the past lessons on a past project. So we've got some AI tools that run over the data, identify all these patterns, trends, and relationships that maybe we weren't able to comprehend as humans, and it gives us guidelines and guardrails, and we run these guardrails around a live project. And so when projects step outside the range of what we know to be successful, we can flag that as an indicator or a risk on that project. And that's how we kind of see ourselves adding value in preventing these future cost blowouts. And I always like to end on a quote. So this was from one of our customers in the government who said that Mastt had transformed the way we manage contract, project and program information, allowing us predictive insights and a level of transparency that were just not, previously attainable. So I really appreciate all of your time today. If anyone wants to see, a bit more on the system, I'm happy to do, a bit more of an extended demo with you sometime. So you can either reach out to us at hello@mastt.com.au, or you can email me at doug@mastt.com.au. And I'm always really keen to chat with people in the industry. So please contact me if you have any queries at all. And just to answer a couple of questions that have come through. So just in relation to the reports that you saw. So I've generated a few of our standard out-of-the-box reports, but for customers who have, their own way of presenting information, we can generate, custom spreadsheet exports, custom PDF reports for our customers so that they can get that information presented the way they like it. But we certainly have our out-of-the-box reports available as part of the system. And then with respect to importing data, so we have, expert project managers here at Mastt, and we take on that burden of receiving the spreadsheets and uploading them into the system for you so that you just pick up the project in the system and then just carry on away from the spreadsheets. We like to do that for two reasons. One, because it cleans the data, and it also allows you to get up and running faster. So yeah, we upload data for a lot of our clients if they have legacy projects. Cool. So if there's any more questions, please throw them into the chat. Otherwise, I've got a few more here. Cool. So I got some in the questions and in the chat. How does this interface with internal corporate financial systems? So that's a good question. So we're the compliance process at the project level, and a lot of the payloads that we send out of the system or via email to the accounts team are financial. So we can integrate with the parent financial system to receive back confirmation of payment. The most common one is, we're sending a payment certificate to the accounts team for payment, they pay it, and so we can receive back through an integration confirmation of payment. In terms of our cloud security, so we build only cloud software on certified or defense level certified to protected products and services, and it's all Microsoft based. So we've been through that cybersecurity rigmarole with defense and DFAT and other federal agencies, including deep penetration testing of our system, and we're in a continuous security journey with them. That's an ongoing thing, cybersecurity, but we've passed all of those tests. That's the last question here. Can we connect Mastt with live data from an enterprise financial system like Tech One? So the answer is yes. Again, we can, mostly confirmation of payment. So things that are being paid in other systems, we can receive into Mastt. Another questions here. Are these reports generated on Power BI? No. So this is a fully bespoke custom platform. Those are not Power BI reports. You actually can't do a lot of that with Power BI. So this is a custom solution, custom out of the box software solution. It's not built on SharePoint, Power BI, or other products and services. Cool. Thanks, guys. Happy to take some more questions, but look, really appreciate everyone's time. Can see some familiar names on the chat there, so look forward to some people reaching out to me, but appreciate your time today, guys. Look forward to letting you know about our next webinar on, what we actually do with this data and how we generate really neat data science off the back of it to inform future lessons learned on projects. I've got one last question. How long does it take to implement this software up and running? So if it's just a project, you can get access that day. So projects, you can start them up straight away. Even programs you can start up straight away as well. The only lead time with setting up a project is if there is a bit of spreadsheet data that a customer has and they need to upload it into the system. And mostly there's a lot of problems in the spreadsheet, so there can be a bit of back and forth with the upload. But we've recently implemented on huge, like 40, 50 plus portfolios, and we've had 5 years of historical spreadsheets, and we've had all of that done in a matter of 2 weeks. So it is a very fast process that we've been able to automate to a level internally. But certainly projects, you could get set up that day if you wanted to. And that's what it's meant to be: easy to use, fast to start on, easy to train on system. It's not meant to be complicated like these other complex systems that people build. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I might wrap it there, but thanks for your time, guys. Hope everyone is safe and well in the lockdowns, for those of you who are, and we'll be shooting around the recording and also the slides and video by the end of the week. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you all soon.